Welcome back to the Dirty Hands Clean Money podcast, episode number 10. Sitting down with Kids Cars. How are you doing today, brother?
Pretty well. Can't complain. Pretty well.
How was your Easter so far?
It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. Spending it with the kids, putting out all the Easter eggs and letting them have all their fun on a bounce house and stuff.
For sure, for sure. Can you kind of explain what you do as a whole?
Really, my take to everything was never really business mindset. It was always me. I have kids of my own. I have 4 kids, and way back in 2012 is when my oldest was born. Um, I always had a passion for cars, automotive in general, going to car shows and everything, and taking my daughter to shows. She loved it, and she always wanted to be a part of it, whether it was washing my wheels or cleaning the car with dad. And I wanted to get her into it, and my way of doing that was getting her a Power Wheel. And it started from there. Customization is endless when it comes to anything automotive. So yeah, from there it just branched out. It started with lights and wheels and dropping it, and yeah, it just started getting attention from a lot of people at car shows. I'm like, hey, why would you push a stroller around when your child can be riding around and enjoying and having that same feeling like you are when you pop your hood open and you're showing your car. And that's kind of where it branched off from. And I just started making other people's dreams a reality.
And, I think I really haven't seen a lot around except for, I assume you know who Scoop SMG is.
Yes, I actually spoke with him as well. He doesn't stay too far, or he recently sold his house, but he didn't stay too far down the street from me.
I think with his truck, it really brought to light the cars and everything like that. Have you seen more business from that point forward since he's released his matching kid or his matching car with his truck?
Well, before that, I didn't too much know about him. I actually ran upon his car and his build. I took a picture of it, and then months later, he ended up DMing me and wanting to get a project going and going from there. But I didn't too much know about him in general of starting it. I was never really too big into the truck scene. It's always cars for me, and I kind of transitioned into trucks just uh, as is. But yeah, I didn't too much know about him and his build until farther on. But seeing how much I do get a lot of comments on like, "Hey, are you copying Scoop's design?" And I say like, no, like this is a love and a passion that everyone has, and I wouldn't say it's copying or mimicking anything. It's just something that happens. Some people have the same ideas, just with carrying their kids' cars around with them, putting on their hood or on their roof or in the back of the bed. But yeah, once I seen that he kind of set a standard to it. I would say he did set a standard to the matching of it, and yeah.
There's been a lot of um, there's a lot of talks when people start new businesses. It's really hard to come up with new ideas now. I mean, there's always going to be some sort of product out there that's similar to yours, and I think the hardest part with that is people. I just don't know if they understand that the automotive community is very um, everyone's very nice to each other when it comes to business owners and everything like that. I mean, I know, especially with exhaust tips, everyone's very friendly and we talk to everyone, and we all get along because at the end of the day, people buy new trucks every single day, and there's more than enough business out there. And I think the biggest thing in the market is it's not over flooded with anything. I mean, even when you get to wheels, I think there's definitely a lot of companies, but I think there's still room to grow. And there's a lot of companies out there that are doing, they're making big moves and have 10, 20,000 followers, and are making themselves a name.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. a lot of things come into play of like, hey, your design looks super similar, or what you're doing I see a lot. um, but what people fail to realize is that, like you said, there's so many trucks and cars out there, and not everyone can go to the same source for ideas and builds. And yeah, just the same passion. Like I'm not necessarily the only person who builds. Recently, I just started seeing more and more people out there. I'll start off by selling them. I sell DIY sets for a lot of vehicles as well, just because I myself can't do everything. So I give the opportunity for you to have that experience with your kid, and you to be able to do that yourself for like a little DIY project, or selling to I wouldn't say competitors, but selling to other people who do the same thing as me, just because they don't have the resources, or it's easier for them to just purchase it from me. If I have the idea and it's there, why not just purchase it? But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of different companies, and we all can work together and can communicate at times, and yeah, just share ideas. It doesn't necessarily have to always be competitive when it comes to it. It's an enjoyment that you didn't start this job or start this business and think, I want to be the only person doing this. Like there's an opportunity for everyone. And yeah, I definitely agree on that.
I think people jump too far on one side. I mean, when it comes to brands, they heavily back those brands, and you know, it's great because then you have a very loyal following. But I think people get out there too much, and they just start spouting everything off about how bad every other company besides the one they support is. And I think I think it's just a little much. But hopping off that a little bit, do you have a favorite? Do you have like a style that you do? Because it seems like when everyone in any business ever, there's a style to something. Do you think you have a certain style, or do you just kind of roll with it?
I think I do. What I would say I specialize in is more of the 3D printing aspect. I have a pretty good team behind me, whether it be designers or printers, and they love the they're eager to just work on new projects and finding something that's a bit hard, that's going to make them think and work. Like, we're all nerds here pretty much. We like to think outside the box and come up with things that no one has even thought of pretty much. And that's what we like to do when it comes to customizing these kids cars. You can buy one from Walmart, from Target, or whatever, wherever. You get it and you take it out, and like, yeah, it's a stock truck or car. But what we do is we add parts to it. We change things. We add our spice to things, and that's where I feel like it's it's where we stand apart. I would say is the 3D aspect of it, because we can create things um, that only you would only be able to think of, or you will only be able to compare to a real car. But we try to make that a reality to best suit the customer's needs when it comes to like making a mini me, like it's what I call it. Uh, Whether it be like, hey, you have like side rails, let's match that. You have steps, let's match that. And that's where a lot of these companies come into play. Where I try to work with, who I reach out and speak to. Um, they're companies for real vehicles, but I try to put myself on the market of, hey, like, let's give this idea to children, to like a power wheel, whether it be like custom bumpers, like, hey, we can do that same move bumper on a kid's car, and that way it'll better suit your needs, or it'll match a little bit better when it comes to the mini me builds.
With those brands, doing certain types of wheels, or as you mentioned, certain types of bumpers, is there, difficulties with brands when it comes to licensing rights, when it comes to those kind of parts?
Well, I have not ran into any speed bumps yet, but the brands that I have spoken with, they are really cool on it, because I mean, it's not necessarily taking it, and I don't like to put logos. I mean, if it ever comes down to it where someone wants to collaborate and we can make it like that. But I've been in contact with like TIS wheels. I've made a set of 3D printed TIS wheels for an upcoming project that will be posted pretty soon. And yeah, they tag me in they share our post, and like yeah, they love the idea. I mean, it's not taking food from their mouth. They're not having to worry about something that that is gonna steal from them. It's just kind of commemorating their idea and what they do in a mini me version, pretty much. So I haven't ran into anything. I mean, I talked to what is it, SOF, a wheel company with Omar St. Cloud.
Yeah.
Really good friends with him. I spoke with him, and he sent me a layout of one of his newest designs. I think the set that he's running a couple months ago when it was just put into a design. And I said like, hey, I would love to build some wheels to commemorate one of your projects or whatever. And he's like, hey, yeah, I'm working on this new one. And he shot me the design that he didn't even leak out yet. Of course, I respect everything, and I don't put it out there. And if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it pretty privately and what they're knowing, of course. But yeah, everyone's been um pretty cool with the idea of mini me versions. Pretty much, no one's given me any problems yet, I would say.
There's a lot of different vehicles out there to work with, um, from different body styles and different years and everything like that. What kind of normal customers do you see? Do you see a normal customer base on a daily basis, or is it like one every week, one every month? How does that work out when it comes to customers?
Hourly, I would say. I have been in transitioning, like never really on my phone person, just more like I tell my wife like, hey, put the camera down and let's just live. Let's just experience what's going on right now, not through this lens. And that's always been the person that I've been. But lately, starting my business, it's just been like nonstop, answering questions and doing quotes. And here in Houston, the truck scene specifically, like drop trucks, cam trucks, stuff like that. That's just that scenery here with all the meets and shows that's around here, and it typically falls down to trickles down to like Chevy trucks, Silverados, GMCs, and that's where you kind of see a repetitive aspect on my page and with my business, because it's kind of a supply and demand on what the customers are looking at, and they're looking at Chevy Silverados and GMC Denali's pretty much. So that's kind of what we have been working on. That's not all we can do, but that's what we've been working on right now, just supply and demand.
There's a truck on your Instagram, a lifted Silverado. You don't see many lifted kids cars. How do you go about doing that and making sure everything runs right and it's all safe? Because with that being that high, there's got to be a different center of gravity, of course, because they're not close to the ground.
Well, definitely the frames are actually thrown out and rebuilt from scratch, pretty much. And what that does, it creates weight down low, and it keeps it a lower center of gravity to speak. With just something sitting on top, which the truck is not that heavy, so most of the weight is lower center of gravity, pretty much. Um, but yeah, like I think I put in mind the kid's safety before anything. When people come to me and like, hey, I want it faster, like, yeah, we can make it faster. How old is your kid? A couple months? Well, I wouldn't recommend it, just because neck jerking and like these kids can hit the gas and run into something, and I don't want it to fall back on me. So what I try to do is speak to the customer and see what best suits them. And when it comes down to it, like those lifted truck builds that I do, we make them remote control. So it takes the safety and it puts it in the parents' arms, pretty much in parents' hands.
With all of that, do you have a favorite project that you've done so far?
It's hard to say because every time I do one and I complete it and I step back and look at it, I say the same thing over and over again. I'm like, man, this is my favorite. and then I do the next one and I say the same thing. When it comes down to it, it's really the customer, the experience that we have. Like I enjoyed speaking with this customer, seeing their passion in their vehicle, and then like, man, like I can't wait to do this project. I get excited, and I'm like, we're gonna make this happen. We're gonna do this, and when it gets down to it, and I go over my checklist and I look at the finished product, that's what makes me happy. So I don't necessarily have one specific build that's like, man, this is really cool. This is my favorite. I just enjoy the outcome of it. I enjoy when I drop it off or when a kid picks it up and seeing the smile and hearing that this kid hasn't got off his truck all night. And like that's what I strive for. Um, but I don't have one particular favorite build. I would say I have builds that I spent the most time on, which of course more time put into it is just adding your own niche and your own touch to it. And one of my projects that I worked quite a bit on was one of my gray trucks that I had did for a customer. It was like a Nardo gray or like a concrete gray, and the customization on it was kind of free range. Like, hey, this is a picture of my truck. Like, see what you can make happen. And we went with the Crespo style spoiler that we 3D printed. We added hood vents because we noticed his had the HD hood vents on it, so we did that. Yeah, and we noticed spiked lug nuts on his wheels, and like, man, we can't just go with the normal face style. We have to add the spiked lug nuts. So we went all out on it, and I truly enjoyed it just because when you did a side by side comparison, it's like, man, this is a kid's toy, and it looks identical to the dad's truck, pretty much.
And with these trucks, there's a lot of different groups you can target. How do you go about? Do you do marketing? There's a lot of companies we speak with that don't even do marketing. Do you do it? And if so, how do you go about it?
I actually don't. I am somewhat of a person who just says put your put your work out there and see what comes from it. Uh, the following I've got, the people who reached out to me, um, I haven't did any marketing. I haven't put no money into marketing other than just um, Facebook and Instagram. That's some of the best marketing you can do is just put your business out there, and whoever likes it, it's gonna trickle down to you. And that's pretty much how I do it. I just put my work out there and it speaks for itself. I've had like numerous of pretty big time people out there in the world um, reach out to me, and it's surprising, and it's crazy to have a phone call and the people that I speak to, like, man, like you enjoy my passion, you enjoy what I do, and it's really big. It's exciting. It's exciting starting from just me myself doing this in my garage and expanding to so much. But yeah, like definitely. I forgot about the question, but yeah, I just I got pretty excited and just sharing with that. Like I enjoy seeing other people enjoy what I do.
Yeah. And how long have you been doing this?
Like I said, I've been building and doing them on my own for my personal, like for my children since about 2012. But getting my business started and saying, hey, like let's switch this over, and it's not gonna just be for friends and family members. Like let's make this a thing. Let's turn this hobby into a paid hobby. I transitioned to that in 2019, the beginning of 2019.
Yeah. How do you go about? Okay, so we kind of talked that you don't really do any marketing. How do you go about, here in the next couple of years of growing the business? Do you think you just stick on Instagram and just keep putting work out there as it comes in? Or how do you go about maybe reaching out to some larger guys with kids that would like trucks for like SEMA or something like that?
Well, I would say with no marketing that I have done now, um, I've had like SEMA builders reach out to me. I've had quite a bit of Team Billet reach out to me. Like Scoop SMG, he reached out to me, and this is all without marketing. Like I said, it kind of just speaks for itself. Later on, once we gather the following and it and puts out more impressions, we'll definitely have to work on expanding. We'll have to, and that will come later on. But right now, I think just putting the business out there, it speaks for itself. Because I have, not sure if you're aware of some of the other builds. I've had a famous band reach out to me, El Obsession, if I'm saying that right. There's a popular song like that they had recently put out. They went on talk shows, and one of the producers on the talk show, they wanted to gift him a truck, on, I think it's called A Flaca y
Yeah, I was
Gorda,
looking at
or
that.
yeah, Igoro y La Flaca. Yeah, and just seeing that, that's like kind of putting my business out there without me having to put my business out there. Yeah, it kind of speaks for itself. Like when someone enjoys what you do and your product, it's all word to mouth for now, I would say.
Where do you think you'll be at that? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years as a business when it comes to like volume and employees? Maybe a shop, like a bigger shop, or what's your thoughts in the next 5 years?
I definitely want a storefront. Like you walk into Walmart's, and you see these vehicles that they do, but the same ones are always there for years. What I want to do eventually is kind of branch out and reach out, possibly getting some certifications, um, and with some automotive companies, because these GM trucks are built in Hong Kong, I think, China, somewhere where they had to reach out to GM and say, "Hey, we want to design this, we want to build this and turn it. Do you approve of it?" I want to eventually be there where I'll be able to put on the market different vehicles, because there's people who reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, can you build this truck?" And I let them know, like, unfortunately, we don't make the trucks. We customize them. That's why we're custom kits cars. We don't build them, but that's something I definitely want to do. I want to bring more variety to it. So I see myself in 5 years expanding to a manufacturing standpoint. I definitely want to work with more wheel companies and get somewhat of a community. Like Custom Kids Cars isn't just a business; it's a community. Like we host car shows and events, and we invite all the kids and their dads to come out. Like we're later on this year, we're planning on doing a show and shine at one of the local detailing shops, and inviting all the little kids and their parents' builds, just to kind of uh, share our experience, share our passion. Like, hey, this is what we do, and this is why we do it. And yeah, that's pretty much the main reason why we do it. It's not all about just getting the best out there. It's seeing these kids' faces and seeing the parents' faces. So yeah, I definitely want to expand in a manufacturing standpoint. I definitely want to branch out in that direction.
What do you think the best way to get there is? How do you see yourself being able to get to that point? Whether it's, kind of, I guess the overarching question is, what's the path? How do you get there?
Doing what I'm doing now, I think working with reputable people, such as like if we can get a bill going with Scoop, he making his presence in the SEMA industry, bringing that out there. People saying, "Hey, who built that? Oh, how did you do this?" And having that source of a reputable person say, "Hey, like this guy built it, and he does like awesome work, and I'm excited with this product, and that's kind of what will trickle down to growing my business is just others sharing my passion. Like I'll of course do all the hard work and making everything happen, but when it gets down to it, it's for now it's just kind of word of mouth is what I plan on branching out until I can work with companies and learn it, because I am new at this whole industry thing, such as I would say as a business mindset. Like I haven't, this is my first business, and I'm bringing something new that not many other people do, and if they do it, they're not really known for doing it. So it's kind of a new market. No one does it, and I want to kind of be able to provide a lot for this specific market, this new market.
And what flares do you think you have to add in order to maybe say stay on top? How do you feel that you set your space from everyone else?
Um, Definitely in my workmanship, we try not to take the easy way out, such as like our paint jobs. We use PPG automotive paint. We use 2K clear coat. We take the extra steps in doing all of this to show our work. And when it comes down to it, sometimes the paint jobs on the kids' cars are of standard or of higher standard than their parents' builds are. So that's showing where, like, how much passion that we put into it and how much work that we put into it. We don't go to Home Depot and get spray cans and spray it.
Yeah.
Like um, we try to set a standard. We try to set a standard, and that standard's already kind of set from looking at their parents' builds, and say, hey, like we can't cheap out. We can't cheap out on this. So that's kind of what sets us apart, and just details. Like we love to get the tiniest bit of details, and that's what sets us apart, I think.
And how do you, it's crazy. Some of these builds I'm looking at through Instagram and stuff like that, they're so vastly different. How do you go about, like, what's the turnaround time on one of these builds? Like, how long does it take for you to design one of these things when it comes to all the
um
wheels and all the accessories?
from start to finish, my ETA that I let my customers know is about 4 to 6 weeks. um that's from when we get our hands on the product. We do order it in. We're working on expanding to order in bulk. That way we can cut that down a little bit to bring the product to the customer a little bit sooner. But for now, it's 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what you want done, pretty much. We go into extensive detail of, like, some of our customers have bag trucks. When they drive, they want to lay frame. So we try to mimic that, and we bag. I say bag with quotations, because I try to veer away from bags unless a customer specifically wants bags.
Yeah.
Um, that follows with a lot of maintenance. If you speak to anyone with bag trucks, there's a lot of maintenance behind compressors, bags, and such, and batteries and everything. And what I try to minimalize is, like, let's make this thing go up and down the plainest and simplest way as possible. So I use actuators instead of bags, and that's just something that's low maintenance, low to zero maintenance. You plug a battery in, you have a key fob on your keychain, and while your kid's driving, you can at any time hit a button to make it go up or down. Simplify things pretty much, and that's another thing where I say it kind of sets us apart, um, by looking into the details, by not just saying, like, oh, I just want to hear that hiss, or it dropped down quick. Like, let's keep the kids in mind. Let's keep your back in mind, because a full compressor bag, air management setup, put all that in a box and lift it up. Now take that and put it in a power wheel and lift that up. Like, it's gonna put some weight on it. So um, our direction, putting a lot of thought into it, just made it seem like actuators was the way to go.
These things are crazy. Like, do you take um, I guess you're talking about opening up a storefront, right? So are you gonna have like stocked products for people to, just come in, swipe their card and take one home with you?
Yes, that's the plan. So I want to, like I said, I want to eventually try to get into manufacturing where we could have like plentiful stock, or we can order something and it'll be here pretty soon. I want to be able to still give the customers the customization option. If you walk into the dealership and you see uh, this nice truck with custom wheels on it, custom lift and everything, and say, "Hey, I want that," you buy, you take it home. It looks cool, but it's built, not bought.
Yeah.
But you didn't build it. So that's where I still want to put into action of giving the customers the customization still. So yeah, they can. It's just like walking into Build a Bear. I want that bear. I want to put this on it instead of that to make it different. I want to provide that same service.
That so a Build a Bear esque store, but for kids cars, like yeah, kids cars.
Yeah. And I would probably still push the online presence to be the main source of it, just because how many of my customers are in Houston? Quite a bit, but I have quite a bit of customers that I ship out to in California and Florida, Atlanta. So not everybody will be able to go to that storefront. So they can still have an online presence to go to and um, build or contact me, and we can build a quote, get pictures, and do that online as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a strict storefront idea. Is what my plans are in the future.
Yeah, and rounding out the podcast, we like to ask just some random questions. So, completely unrelated, but what inanimate object do you wish you could eliminate from existence?
Um,
Just to put you on the spot.
let's see. I would have to say the use of a cell phone, like a cell phone. If we could take a cell phone and put it into something that we don't necessarily have to stare at every day, it would make, because you could tell the presence of the cell phone within the few years it's been out. Um, it's changed. It's changed quite a bit. Whether it be um, knowing about things that as a kid we didn't know about, but now that we have access to the internet and so much, like it's made things scarier. It's made things more readily available in a good and bad way. And I think if we could have kept it simplistic to like a Boost mobile phone that had this um, backlit backlit screen and it just displayed numbers. If we could have kind of kept it in that direction, I think society would still be safe to the point that a 5-year-old kid could walk to school without their parents having to worry about things.
For
That's what,
sure.
yeah,
For sure.
that's what scares me. And I see kids nowadays, or not necessarily kids, just everyone is in fear of so much in the world, but that's, it all trickles down to knowing about it. Back then there's probably so much um violence going on, but we didn't know about it, so it was fine for 5-year-olds to walk to school by themselves. But now knowing so much and giving people ideas in a negative way um causes so much, such as like school shootings. Like no one knew about school shootings back in the day. If it happened, it happened, but nobody knew about it except that town. But now it's so blasted on the media to the point that some people are taking notes and saying I can do better. And that's what scares me pretty much. And I think if we'd have kept things simplistic, it would have made our society a little better.
For sure. Do you guys plan on going to any shows this summer?
Yes, we have quite a bit lined up. One that I am super excited. We went last year. We're definitely going to make a presence this year. We have our tent. We locked in our sponsor, our vendor spot. Is Texas Wake and Scrape.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's one that we'll definitely be making the appearance at. Others in mind, I have to look at my calendar and find out that. But it's kind of right now as a small business, it's hard to load up a whole bunch of shows, lock them in when some of these vendor 10 by 10 spots are like $500. it,
For sure.
it
For sure.
gets tough lining like 10 shows up in a year, just trying to book them all for the year. It gets pretty tough as a small business owner.
Yeah. And so coming to the end of the podcast, let the people know what you got going on, where they can find you and all that good stuff.
We're on mainly Instagram, but we do have Facebook as well, at Custom Kids Cars. Um, we plan on just expanding not in a business mindset, but expanding in what we can do. I would love for you to throw an idea at me, and see if we can make it happen. If it's something realistic, that we can definitely do, I definitely want to wrap my head around it and make something happen. So yeah, if you want to reach me, shoot a DM. I'm pretty fast with responding to DMs on Instagram at Custom Kids Cars. And yeah, we can definitely make some crazy things happen. I just have to have that crazy mindset person who's willing to make it happen.
For sure. All those links will be down in the description. But we appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you coming on.
Same. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the opportunity of even looking in our direction.
And with that, that has been episode 10 of the Dirty Hands Clean Money podcast. Hope everyone has a great rest of their day.
All right, you do the same.